about the surrender to the ambiguity. I know. Those titles I'm supposed to make up a couple of months ahead of time, and so whoever knows what's going to be on my mind. But this is the conclusion of the series that I have loosely done about the 5 gifts of abundance, or 5 gifts of abundant life. And the gifts are gratitude, intention, faith or forgiveness, tithing, and surrender. So surrender to the ambiguity. There's always a tension between the divine as a personal essence and how that's concerned and involved with us, and then the law, which is so much more impersonal and objective. And there's that tension between those two aspects of what we call the divine, love and law. But I want to talk about surrender first. When I met with Dr. Ken Gordon, one of the things that he mentioned to me emphatically was that he, every moment, surrenders. He surrenders to the divine. He surrenders his work. He surrenders his family, his finances, all aspects of his life. He turns over to the divine. And I consider him very wise. So today I have yet another tiger story about surrender. So if you're new and you haven't been in my community before, or in this community, Tiger was my mother. She lived to be 96, 97. And she was bawdy. She drank, she smoked. She was just Tiger. So this story is about, she had, I guess I better get my tissue. She had given my niece and her husband her wedding ring. And she was uncomfortable not to have a wedding ring, so she started wearing my paternal grandmother's wedding ring, and it was a thick, old-fashioned, heavy gold ring, just a plain, big, heavy gold band. Now, Tiger was smaller than me, and her hands got more and more skinny. I guess that's probably not a good word to use, but anyway, she lost a lot of weight in her hands. And so this ring sort of slipped around a lot. Well, one day she called me and she said that she had lost her ring. So the day before, we had been walking around the block, and so it was my job to go try to find the lost gold ring. So I went around the neighborhood, the block, several times, looking for the golden ring. And I didn't find it. I looked in the bedclothes. I took the bedclothes all apart and made the bed up again with fresh sheets, and it wasn't in the bed. I looked under the bed, all around the house. I looked in the laundry, emptied the vacuum bag, no gold ring to be found. And this was over several days of searching and Tiger thinking about where she'd been, what she'd done, looking for the gold ring. So she finally talked to me. And she said, you know, I've been talking to God. And I told God that if that ring didn't come back, at least allow someone who was going to get married, who needed a gold wedding band, Let them find it. And I thought that was very sweet. She surrendered her gold wedding band. She talked to God and turned it over. Well, the next day, she called me and she said, guess what? The wedding band had turned up, and it was in the vegetable crisper. That was the last place that I looked. So, well, I didn't even look there. So, when we talk about surrendering and giving it over to God, there's a resistance to the word surrender. Have you noticed that? It's like surrender is a word that we tend to resist. It implies that we've just given up. And in truth, what we do when we surrender to God is we give it over. It's not that we just give up. It is that we give it over. And we trust it to a higher power. We trust the divine to figure it out for us. There's a saying that Rumi had, and I love this saying. It's out beyond ideas of wrongdoing and right doing, there is a field. I will meet you there. So out beyond the idea of wrongdoing and right doing, there is a field, and I will meet you there. So when we talk about the juxtaposition, the tension, the paradoxical concept of law versus love, or love versus law, the truth of the matter is that when we back away and we go to that place beyond the right doing and the wrongdoing, when we have a higher vision, or we allow Spirit to hold a vision for us, then it all makes sense. It's not either or, it's both. It's beyond the right doing and the wrongdoing. It is meeting at that place where Spirit is able to do the work for us. I don't know about you, but I am not that clever at figuring out the way that things should work out. And when we talk about it, the universe or the divine being only law, responding only to our thoughts and our ideas, that really is so limited. So there has to be more to it than just the law, just the universe responding to our thoughts and our ideas. And the more to it is the love. That part of the essence that is absolutely concerned with me, concerned with you, that is personal, that is actively involved in your well-being. There is a part of the universe, a part of the divine, a part of God that is actively involved in your well-being. That when there is an issue, that loving essence is available to call upon, to support, to help, to solve problems. It's not impersonal. It's very real and very personal. It will step up when you surrender to it. So what does that look like, surrender? I have often a vision of my 3-year-old grandchild. I don't think I've mentioned him before. Miles is his name. And Miles, prior to the end of the day, he's a lot like a lot of young creatures. He gets all wound up. It comes time for the evening and for bedtime, and rather than slowing down and getting sleepy, he gears up and races around. I think we've recognized this with often. Did he just race off? Demonstration of my point. So Miles, when it comes time to go to bed, he gets all geared up, and he gets silly, and he gets jazzed around the house, you know? And then his parents pick him up, his mama picks him up, and rocks him 3 minutes, and he gives it all up. He surrenders. And that's the same sort of concept. We can do, and we can do, and we can do. And we can work, and we can have our ideas, and we can have our plan, and we can have our goal, and we can just do it all ourselves. Thank you very much. And then it's exhausting. And then we can just give it up. And it's handled. And we are embraced by that loving one, that loving essence. There's a phrase that I love that this guy's name I can't even begin to pronounce, so his name is something, something, something Rashi. And he says, if it's not paradoxical, it's not true. If it's not paradoxical, it's not true. So we must have the ambiguity to make it true. We must have the love and the law and the very absolute dichotomy of purpose of each aspect of that divine one. We must have it. Because that's the way that the universe works. If it is not paradoxical, it is not true. So the love of the divine, the very personal essence, that part of the universe that supports us and loves us and is there for us, and the law that is absolutely indifferent, that has no vested interest in the outcome of the thinking process. And if it wasn't for love, if it wasn't for that essence and that part of the universe, what would happen to us all? Because as we think, so we receive. That's the law. And when we think about the percentage of unhappy, negative, harsh, sad thoughts that run through our mind, I don't know, maybe I'm the only one. What would happen if our lives only showed up by what's going through our minds? It would be a little scary, huh? So we have that part of the law that we can depend on, that what we think is what we get, and yet there's this other essence, this other loving, supportive, divine, caring loves us and cares for us, and mitigate this scary little kid part of our thinking process. It's paradoxical. There is that part of the universe that absolutely is indifferent, that will absolutely create whatever we're thinking. And yet, there's also that loving, sweet, divine, personal part that responds to us at the deepest level, that cares about us. And it all ultimately balances out. And because of the love of the divine, it ultimately skews to the best, to the good, to the highest. Ernest Holmes said this: in intelligent study, the teachings of science of mind, we come to understand that all is love, and yet all is law. Love rules through law. Love is the divine givingness. Law is the way. Love is spontaneous. Law is impersonal. Love points the way, and law makes the way possible. The ambiguity of the various aspects of the divine that balances out, that we can trust to have beauty and joy and peace and harmony in our lives, even though there are times that we are not feeling peaceful, harmonious, loving, and balanced. Because this part of the universe is there to protect us. If we can surrender to it, it moves so much more smoothly and effortlessly. God is good. In all of its aspects. And we can count on that. And we can hold to that. And we can celebrate that. Enough said. I love you all. Stay. Stay. Can you feel that? When they stand and hold the consciousness in this room, things get a little bit more powerful, huh? So join with me as I just allow myself to settle into the knowingness that there is that essence that we call God, the divine, the universal one. That essence that is loving and that also is willing to move forward and create the life that we are envisioning. The juxtaposition of the love of the divine and the law of the divine. The very essence of the universe that is complex ambiguous, and paradoxical. If it is not a paradox, it is not true. And so I allow myself to be in that confluence of the universal essence, the love and the law. And I surrender into it, trusting fully that all is well. And I speak my word now for this center, knowing that it is love-filled. And also, our thoughts as a collective community creates that essence that I call Circle's Edge. And I give thanks for the overwhelming love and peace and harmony that fills this space. I give thanks for the good that is Circle's Edge, and the love and the peace and the joy that is represented here. I open my heart to the divine harmony, the divine love, knowing that what needs to be healed is healed, what needs to be released is released. What needs to be surrendered is surrendered. And I celebrate the good that is God. And I accept it on behalf of each one of us here. I know it cannot be otherwise. And so in gratitude, I surrender. I give it all to God. I turn it over. And I invite you to do the same with me as we declare only good. As we say together, and so it is.